Hey guys, welcome back. Well, fellas, today I thought about a couple things about the LSs, and almost everything's been covered that you could possibly say about an LS, but something that's kind of been forgotten that was brought up at one time that seems like nobody really talks about now is that how sharp they are. And if anybody that's not familiar with these heads ever goes to grab onto them and pick them up, chances are they're going to get stabbed, cut, because these things are like a pizza cutter in spots. So what I wanted to show you guys is it's mostly the spots where the corners are, like around these areas here. And I'm actually just starting on these heads, and that's the first thing I really do, fellas, is deburr these things, because when you're flipping these around, you're going to forget. And when you start porting and turning them upside down and flipping them up and around, you're bound to remember real quick. So I'm trying to stop maybe somebody from, even if it's a slight cut, you guys don't want to get cut, have to run and grab a band-aid and stuff. So that's why I'm taking the time to do this video. But another thing I wanted to point out, it's not just the common areas around all up in here and stuff. It's also underneath where the gasket goes. They're very sharp there. And of course you have your combustion chamber that you always smooth out anyway. I've been over that with you guys several times, but if anybody hasn't seen that, there are very, very sharp edges on the combustion chamber. I'll just mention that real quick in this video. And but you have a lot of sharp edges, like even here along the gasket edge. So I just take a piece of sandpaper, fellas. You can deburr it however you want to. You can do it this way with, your tool, however. You can deburr it that way. But most of the time, I just take a piece of sandpaper, fold it over, and actually do two sides at a time. Like I'll just put it around the corner and just run it up and down. Nothing fancy, just get the sharp edge off, fellas. And then the other places they're really sharp is, hang on, fellas, let me turn this head around. I'm sorry about this. All in here by the spark plugs. I mean, these here will actually grab you pretty quick. So you might have to just go ahead and get a little more aggressive with that, depending on what tools you guys like using. As far as like any kind of tool that's going to smooth it out, that works good for you. Because the only reason being I'm telling you that is because this takes a little bit longer and it's really thick in here. You don't have to make it flat, but you want to get the high points off, and it's hard to do with a piece of sandpaper like this here, unless you have time and you don't mind doing this kind of stuff. You just have something in your leisure, you want to do it. I mean, I do it this way, but I don't want to tell some guy that could actually pick up something and have a tool to do this and do it in 2 minutes, instead of saying this guy was on the internet showing me to do something that took me 25 minutes to do one spot. Kind of hard to tell everybody one thing, fellas. But another thing I want to address, guys, was these are our customers' heads. And even though he says he's buying all new valves, all new hardware, that's his plan. But guys, we all well know how sometimes that doesn't go accordingly. What you fellas want to do, if anybody ever takes on work for anybody else, even yourself, take the time. If you have any kind of boxes around, like this is almost a perfect box for this. I kept this box around for things like this here. But I always take the time, even if the guys tell me they're not caring about their hardware and don't even want it back, you take the time to make sure that it's okay and put away for if they do want it back. And that's what I do, fellas. When I disassemble these, the springs, I know they're garbage to me and they're garbage to him. If they have rust on them, he's not going to use them. Well, what if he breaks a spring or has a pair of heads that it's not performance, or a buddy has one and they need a spring? You keep stuff around like this when they're not too bad. But the things are pretty sad looking. But still in all, they're not mine. They're a customer's. So guess what, fellas? When I disassemble these heads, the keepers, the springs, the retainers are all going together in a bag. And guys, you want to do that for yourself. Take the time, because if you don't, you're going to be putting your heads back together and you're going to say, where's that one valve? Where's that one keeper? Where's that one retainer that slipped out of a box? You just put it in a box, open box like this here. If you don't put it in a baggie or something, that's going to be most likely the thing that's going to be on your plate. And like I said, I'm trying to make these videos to stop people from making them kind of mistakes. And guys, when I tell you something, it's not that I'm somebody that's very smart. You either know something because it's either happened to you before or somebody's taught you. And that's why I'm doing this. It's very aggravating when you think, hey, I'm ready to go, I'm going to put these heads back together, and you don't have a keeper. One little tiny keeper is not there. And then you're like aggravated. Especially if you think you're going to the track, getting the car ready for the next day, and you're under a deadline, and then you call your buddies up to have 15 keepers laying around spares, and they don't know where theirs are at either. So that's why I'm doing this video, fellas. But anyway, these are a pair of cylinder heads. They're 706s. And I'm going to be pouring and doing a few different modifications to them for this guy. I'm not positive, but he may be grudge racing this car. And I know they're going to see a pretty big shot of nitrous, so there's a few different little tricks I'm doing to them for that. But I'll be doing another video once I get them started here. I'm going to disassemble them. And I just got these on the table and thought I would do this video real quick, because it seems like people don't do the little things to tell you guys that, hey, don't go cutting yourself. And to me, I hate it when I cut my fingers open on stuff. But anyway, guys, I hope you have a good night, and I hope this video is helpful to somebody. And it might even be a reminder to somebody who already knows this. Because the hardest way to remind yourself of something that you already knew or that you know is when you reach down and it's like, wow, I forgot that thing is that sharp there. And especially when you go to set them on the engine. You know, flipping around on the bench is one thing, but when you're holding them, trying to over a fender, especially if you have a car that has the block in the vehicle, that's a little aggravating when you're trying to. It's hard enough doing that without getting stabbed while you're doing it. So that's why it's important to do this, fellas. You might think, I wear gloves and this and that. And that's fine if you have tough skin. I used to, but I don't anymore, fellas. Everything's gets me pretty much anymore. That's what happens when you're thin-skinned. Your skin gets thinner when you're older, you know. But anyway, guys, I appreciate you tuning in, watching this. I keep telling you that, but I mean it. And like I said, I'll be doing another round of video on these heads here. And hopefully we'll be able to see these things kicking somebody's butt on a pretty well, stock engine, to be honest with you. But you guys know in the LS world, you don't have to be a magic man to make anything with nitrous come alive. But these will be a little bit above average when I'm finished with them. I did these over here, and these are actually ours. And I had these on a previous video, and I put my own spin on them. I don't want to go into a lot of detail what I do with our stuff, because people have the tendency to tell you their spin on stuff, and there's the right way and then there's the wrong way. I think these are done the right way, because these heads made over 500 horsepower on a 5.3 with stock bottom end. I went over that in a previous video, but these here are going to be pretty similar to them, and they're not going to be anything hogged out or anything, fellas. They're going to be pretty well reshaped as far as making everything level, and I kind of marked a couple spots out now that I'm going to be mainly concentrating on. So if you guys want, tune back in, and I'll be doing another segment on these heads here, and we'll take it from there to see what kind of power they make. I'm kind of hoping the guy don't grudge race this car, because I would love to be able to show you guys, hey, these are the ones that I had on a previous video, and this is how the car runs, and really show you guys something that gets you a little bit excited. I know I see somebody on the street and the car is really tearing butt. I like seeing that kind of stuff. But anyway, guys, thanks again for stopping in on this channel, and have a good night, fellas. Take care.